Special.
Hello and welcome to Slash Dupe, the movie pitching podcast with a twist. I'm joined by Ryan and Dan today, and we've got another special look back at one of the events, seasonal events of this year. We're going back to June, and as always, we will give the event our special Slash Dupe twist. Now, we had Father's Day, which we did recently, and on that one, we looked at famous movie fathers and extrapolated them into their own movies. With this one, we're looking at the June solstice. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, because that's what we were thinking. We covered the solstice when we did our seasonal episode, where we went over a sort of year's worth or a cross-section of the year's seasonal events. But for this one, we're taking midsummer or the summer solstice, which is sort of between June 20th, June 25th. We're taking the idea of it being the longest day of the year. Being the longest day of the year, it is Twilight. It's technically Twilight the whole day. Now, I know what you're thinking. Twilight, the movie Twilight, adaptation of Stephenie Meyer's book series Twilight. Who doesn't love an entire day of Twilight? Nobody.
Do you mean an entire day of the films or the books or of Twilight?
Well,
the state.
Well, obviously the state is where it comes from, but I am talking about the movies, the Twilight movies. Everybody's favourite. Love to hate them or hate to love them.
I was a teen, unlike you two, during the reign of
Ouch to start with.
Proud
Twilight
not to
out.
be a teen during Twilight, I'll be honest with you.
So I had feverish arguments with ex-girlfriends who loved Twilight, and I fucking hated it. I still, to this day, have not seen a single Twilight movie.
Wow.
And I probably never will. So, and it was...
I saw them the way that, like, a crime scene investigator investigates the murder of a young woman, like with
that is a really bizarre style.
with a sort of...
but you have to
with
do
a sort of morbid and professional curiosity through the lens of there being a greater good to what I'm doing. Being in and around the film industry. So, no, sorry, Ryan, carry on. You were saying.
21st of June as well was supposed to be a very special day in the UK. Restrictions lifting day for COVID regulations. Mike Skinner from The Streets wrote an entire song about it. Who's Got the Bag? About all the good fun we were going to have on the 21st of June.
You keep trying to push that for me to listen to, and I haven't listened to it
It's
yet.
a banger, trust. But so there's so that's the day.
Yeah,
that's the day we're focusing.
But listen, don't turn off, don't turn away, don't touch that dial.
Yeah, listen to the song afterwards.
Yeah, don't turn off because you hear Twilight, because we're not going to be talking about Twilight. This is where I tell you how we give it our Slash Dupe twist. What we're doing is we're taking the subtitles of the Twilight movies, of which, of course, at home you will all know, is in order: New Moon, Twilight New Moon, Twilight Eclipse, and Twilight Breaking Dawn. That's Breaking Dawn, not Breaking Bad. And we're going to take the three...
Before we go on. New Moon, New Hope. Eclipse, Empire Strikes Back, Darkness. Breaking Dawn, Return of the Jedi, like the bringing of the light. So not only... don't get me started on them.
Stephenie Meyer, what a
bitch.
hero. What a legend. Stephenie Meyer.
Legend.
Infamous. Yeah, so there is... Yeah,
And
there's no surprise.
we have to look. There's one thing that I would be thankful for Stephenie Meyer, and that is, without Twilight, we wouldn't have had E.L. James create 50 Shades of Grey series, which was famously based off of Twilight fan fiction, and that wouldn't have, and I use this term in all puns intended, thrust in that level of sexual energy into the day-to-day lives and sort of break a lot of taboos when it comes to the way that people perceive sex. And I know you're looking at that, Dan. I know you're doing that because it's a really fucking horrible relationship, right?
It's not just that.
And there's loads of other things. But I know
assuming you read all of them, did you?
No, definitely not. But, but the thing is...
Did you listen to that podcast that you love so much?
No, I didn't even. But the thing is, like,
okay.
I knew a lot of friends and, like, for example, my girlfriend at the time, her father was more kinky than her mother. And it was only after reading those books did she realise that some of the stuff wasn't as taboo as it was seen before. And, it helped fervently in that sexual relationship. So, it did bring to, and, people were literally cutting the front covers off the books to read them because they were too ashamed to be seen reading it in public because it was too sexy.
Okay, I'll give it that.
So it's not like I don't
the
condone the
ability
content
to talk about.
Yes, it
kink.
did. And talk about kink and bring it so it didn't become a weird conversation anymore because it became so far into the zeitgeist,
itself
if you will.
Became a weird conversation.
Yes, of course it did. Yeah, that is really fucking weird. So that's the only thing that I will thank Stephenie Meyer for.
Wow. I did not think that we would get into 50 Shades of Grey.
We started with Twilight. We were going to make it 50 Shades of Grey.
And maybe there is. What are the subtitles? No, it's 50 Shades Dark and all that. We can't do anything with that. We're not going to touch 50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah.
That
is on Slash Dupe After Dark. We'll do that one.
But for this one, you're right. We have almost the sort of Star Wars mirroring New Moon, Eclipse, and Breaking Dawn. Go on, Ryan.
Well, you have led very nicely into with the touch on Star Wars. I think I've got an idea for New Moon. If you guys would let me go first.
Go ahead. So the format we're going to do is we're going to take a title each, and we're going to give it our Slash Dupe spin as if it was never attached to the Twilight Saga, which I, for one, am all for. And we're going to take the title and we're going to form our Slash Dupe movie idea just from the title alone.
All right.
Yes, and you're first, Ryan.
So as we look up in the night sky, we see our moon. Right? I don't know what its technical scientific name is.
Luna.
In fact, if you know what the scientific name is, come and jump on our socials and tell us what that is. You can just search Slash Dupe, find us everywhere. We beat the algorithm, but mostly focusing on, big socials, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Find us at Slash Dupe. Tell us what the scientific name of the moon is. But, we look up in the night sky.
But jump on and tell us anyway.
Yeah. Tell us the Latin name for it. I don't know.
I'm also going to go out on a limb and say that Luna's the Latin name for it, yeah. But jump on our socials and tell us anything you want.
Yeah. Tell us about, there's a crater on there called like Hercules or something like that. Tell us about that one. That was really lovely. Anyway.
Tell us about a crater,
point I'm making is the moon, right? And we know that it doesn't
it's
do
made
something
of cheese,
like
as we all know.
control our
Wallace
tides or whatever. Or whether I don't know if that's a myth or if that's still a thing.
No, it definitely controls the tides.
Okay, cool.
That's not a myth either. There's very few things I know for sure. That's
the
one
Earth is flat anyway, so it's fine. No, I'm kidding. So anyway, right? So we look up in the night sky, and then suddenly, boom, a new moon appears.
Oh,
right, in the same size or thereof of our current moon. What does that do to upset the Earth's balance?
It's like
in what way?
Godzilla versus Kong.
Right.
Two moons
Did
duking
Elon
out.
Musk create that moon?
How was it put there? All these billionaires going up to space. Is it there? Is it a planet in itself? Is it a living being? Like, what's the space race to get to that new moon, first of all? And what are they going to do with it? Do they want to blow it up because it's upset the world? It's a disruptor, which is a word that's used in my business lingo quite a lot.
Interesting. It's a disruptor. Right? What do you do with a disruptor in your business?
Right? Just like the way that I felt so, King Kong was a disruptor and all he wanted to do was be loved and the world shut him down because he was a big gorilla, right? Just wanted to love a lovely blonde woman, just like me. Hashtag Ryan's still single. But it's different. It's different and it's new
at the point of publication.
Yeah.
Hashtag Ryan is still single.
Yeah, you never know. In the next couple of weeks, you might find someone.
That's true. But what I'm saying is, what would this? So, what would it do? People okay, cool, can explore it. The governments want to blow it up. What's it doing to our Earth? That sort of thing. That's what
it's finding out, really, once they get up there, the trick is finding out whether it's a clone or an exact copy of the moon and then carbon dating it to find out, or if you can, I assume you can still carbon date
Has it always been there?
Yeah, and stuff like that. Is it older? Is it newer? And then that sort of says maybe where it's come from. I think that's quite a good
a new moon has been discovered in our atmosphere. And then...
So is this? Are you doing like a? This is going to happen now, and it's going to start a new space race, or and the corporations like Amazon and Elon Musk get involved, or are you going to do it back in the day? And this is a film where it changes the space race because at the exact point where they're looking to go to the moon, another one appears.
That's a great question. I think and also at the time of recording, the trailer for What If just got released.
Oh right, I haven't seen that yet.
So, that
what
is
if a second moon appears?
Right, but
the Russians landed on moon 2, but the Americans landed on moon 1. But the Russians dispute that it is even the second moon. They say it's the first moon.
Exactly. So it's I think that is a good lens actually. So how would the space race be different if there was 2 moons? Would people give less of a shit about it because you're not just trying to claim the only one that's up there?
I think it's quite interesting. I think there's actually a lot in such a simple concept. You can actually extrapolate that into and sort of tackle quite a lot of different sort of themes and But I suppose it would be with these things. I think you can sometimes go broad and you can make it a bit more of a sort of worldwide thing, or you can go narrow it down on a key couple of astronauts, scientists. I don't know. How are you feeling? How would this be presented to the audience if it's a film or a TV show? Or
I quite like the idea of it.
Is our through line.
The thing is, I quite like the idea of it being like half a disaster movie. So new moon turns up,
wouldn't it? Yeah.
And then all the tides are all messed up. The thermohaline cycle, which is a real thing. You can Google that.
Yeah, because you just did.
No, I learnt it when I was back in geography in school. That all gets messed up as well. And so it's like the first half of it is a disaster movie and then having to live with that change and then what the idea of that change brings. Do you want to then reset it? As I said, blow it up. What does that mean? Could it mean extinction if we can safely blow it up, or just put some boosters on it and send it off towards the sun? That's how it works. To reset the Earth back to what we're used to, and then you've got your.
Do you know what? Then you'd have the people who are like anti blowing up the second moon. They're like a cult. They surface, right, and they're the people trying to undo it. So half of the Earth is destroyed because of this new moon, and all the survivors are trying to send a rocket up. They're trying to get up there with their limited resources now. And then a little bit interstellar-ish. But there's this dangerous cult that's being like, no, this is the way it's supposed to be. The second moon is the second coming, or it's going to bring us, blah blah blah. They have that sort of angle, a bit like The Leftovers, where they have that sort of cult in there.
And here's the director sequel,
direct-to-video sequel,
sequel.
Because of course there is one.
Yeah, it's set thousands of years in the future because of the trajectory that the moons have been on in the gravitational force. They are going to collide.
Yeah, of course they are.
And what do they do?
And it's a bit of like Mad Max crossed with Interstellar.
And the answer is
mad fusion.
They basically build like a sonic...
A second Earth.
They build like a sonic spring pad the size of the moon. So that as it collides, it just goes... and just goes back the other way around.
That is ridiculous.
And then they don't have to worry about it. And then the third one, what happens when that comes back on the other side? And they've got to try and turn the whole planet...
Now they're living on some sort of space colony, and the second moon is gonna collide with them. That's what happens when it comes to the third one, right?
There you go. New moon, literally, a new moon turns up.
Yeah, simple, effective as usual. I'm
you hate it as usual.
No, I hate it as usual. No, I'm on board with that. I like that. That's an incredibly simple and sort of but broad in scope sort of sci-fi idea. There's a film called Another Earth. But of course that it's very different when you have 2 Earths. But I think it's actually much simpler and also much more interesting to have just this object appear that you know and you don't know. I sort of like it. It's very exciting. I think it would be remiss of me not to go second, considering that I have chosen, or I have been saddled with Eclipse, which is the second of the 3 films, or the second of the 3 sequels, rather. I very broadly with Eclipse is I'm going to mash up two things. Now, I'm going to mash up the type of sci-fi space opera that Halo is. That, by the way, I haven't really seen in films, I don't think. And I'm happy to be corrected in the comments, but you don't really see that sort of broad space opera and the sort of marine sort of thing mixed together. I know you get the space opera with sci-fi and Star Trek, and I know you get the sort of space marine stuff with a variety of other things, and it broadly across a lot of media, video games, tabletop, all sorts of things, you really get that sort of Warhammer sort of vibe as well. You get it quite broadly across a lot of things with a little bit of magic in there, because if you think about the arbiters and all that sort of stuff, they all have sort of slight magical powers because they're aliens and things. But I just don't see it broadly in the movie space, and I really miss that kind of... I thought Jupiter Ascending was going to do that, and there's a lot... We can talk about that for 100 years, but it didn't really pull that off. There are talking lizards in it, which are fucking... You huge hulking sort of talking lizards. They're like out of like a fucking, like, you know, Legend of Zelda game. But it didn't really quite do it right. But there's something in the idea of taking Halo and taking... I read a book... I think it's called Broken Angels. It's the sequel to... Altered Carbon, which everyone will probably know from Netflix. There was a season 1, season 2 of Altered Carbon currently up to date now. And the book is like a sort of legendary, hard-boiled, sort of noirish cyberpunk novel. And I loved the novel. But the second book is like a kind of spacefaring Indiana Jones. So they're sort of going to dig sites and going to different places on planets, and they're unearthing these dark secrets. But there's this sort of hench, sort of built-up military guy, you know, doing it with them. He's the main character, the sort of guy he's an envoy from Altered Carbon, from the first one. So I think Eclipse needs to be about that exact, like a planet-hopping adventure. So there's like wars going on in this system, this militaristic sort of mad space opera where there's like proper planet-side wars going on. But in between this war zone planet, or this series of war-torn planets, there's a small ragtag group of people that are going in and trying to unearth these, you know, like an Indiana Jones. They're trying to unearth alien artifacts and objects, and they're almost like they need to extract them from... They're being paid, a bit noirish, you know, they're being paid by the shadowy organization to extract these alien artifacts from the war-torn planets, you know, before the war takes over the whole place. So you have like this sort of archaeological, sort of Uncharted in space is basically what I'm thinking, right? It's like the Uncharted games, but in space. And that's basically the touchstone now. That's to distill it. So, you know, I don't know, because you still have the sort of the gunplay, the intrigue, the villains, but you set it, you know, amongst this sort of these war-torn system of planets, let's say.
And what are they? What are the things? What are the MacGuffins they're trying to find?
I think it would depend on whether the alien races in this one still exist. So if you're going to do like a Halo thing, and there, you know, sci-fi can really be broadly divided into those categories, can't they? There's sci-fi with aliens and sci-fi without aliens. You know, you look at Battlestar Galactica, and it's sci-fi with lots of amazing heady themes, lots of stuff going on, no aliens. And then you look at something like Star Trek.
Cylons.
Oh yeah, but they are 100% like robots that have been, you know, evolved, right?
That's true, yeah.
But in something like Star Trek or Star Wars, you very clearly have alien races. So I don't know if you say that.
What if what they're finding they think is aliens, and as it goes through, they realise it's just humans that have been there thousands of years before?
Yeah, you could do something like that. Yeah.
Our humans are like... we never really see like the ancient civilizations, like the Egyptians and the Babylonians made all these things on Earth. But what happens if we're just reliving a cycle? So the eclipse, the idea of this cycle goes round and round and round, and they're coming to the end of this cycle of humanity, and they're finding out that everything they think they're doing, like getting out there and like, has all been done before.
Yeah, and while the war is incidental to them initially, it actually becomes the thing that is the extinction event. They find that actually this war that they're sort of really just trying to avoid
is almost like for like
the events
absolute
that
repetition of what went before.
To wipe out the civilization,
Yeah, and as they do that, they leave sort of time capsules as well. And I don't think it has a happy ending. I think it does. They read the last thing
cycle
about the war.
repeats.
The cycle
Yeah.
continues and goes again.
Yeah. Ryan, you were going to say?
Well, like, you know, the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, and they had like a, I don't really know what it is. Was it like a rudimentary kind of like piston irrigation to bring water like up, and like
Right.
that's how sort of like, I guess, like siphoning. They would basically be able to like siphon the water and use the pressure to bring it up onto the other levels. And it's like nobody had that for hundreds of years afterwards because it was so
Advanced.
you know, like bonks. So that's sort of sick. And
Bonks.
you know, now we can have it. But you know, it's like witchcraft back then, bringing water from the ground up all the way up here. You know,
So this is
Bloody
like
witchcraft.
humanity
So-
that's become super advanced and then been wiped out, sort of thing.
Yeah.
I also sort of like, this is not, I don't know if this can be or can't be related, but there's something awesome in Strata, which is an early science fiction novel by Terry Pratchett, who himself sort of aped Larry Niven's Ringworld. He sort of just basically did a spoof of it. But I sort of like the idea that the main character, what they do is when they terraform worlds, is they go in and they build fake sort of backstory to the world. So they build in the skeletons and they build stuff in to sort of, when people are digging for them, they have something to find.
Find something. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know if there's something like a more serious version of that like if these worlds are being created by a more human force rather than a godlike force or a natural sort of force, then maybe they're being created in a particular way for a particular reason. I don't quite know what it is, but then also I'm just going to steal from Strata maybe, but like I think they end up going to a spherical world that is actually an entirely sort of artificial world that's been engineered to function so all of the internal parts are designed to function as a spherical world would, but it's actually, and it's all falling apart in the book, but it's actually entirely mechanical. So and it has a core and everything, and inside the core. So I don't know if there's something interesting in that, if it's like an artificial world that they're fighting on, so that as you go down, you don't go to the heart of this world is not a naturally sort of broiling sort of pit of lava as it would be, you know, in our world, but it's like an artificially created sort of vortex of lava that, you know, is, I don't know. I find that kind of interesting in the science fiction world. I haven't really seen anything that goes into an entire like for like sort of artificial world, Earth. I don't know. That could be one of the war-torn planets, you know.
So where does the eclipse come into it?
As Dan said quite rightly, of course, because I had no idea. It's the cycle that repeats itself. You know,
Yeah.
it's the entire covering of the land by war to the point where it resets to background after the eclipse finishes to be as it was before, and then cycle. Repeats.
Just like when Fry is trapped in the thingy in Futurama, and you see it all get destroyed and then rebuilt.
Basically
and
like
again.
Futurama, yeah. basically
see.
everything is like Futurama, yeah. So yeah, that's Eclipse. Something that I'm very proud of being able to have completely rambled and basically just talked about 3 different properties that I would smash together.
Can we just smash them together?
Yeah, I think we can, as long as they don't resemble it. It's like
Look,
music, isn't it? As long as it just
Look, you can
it's
put
just slightly
it. You
different
can
to
put
the-
smashed avocados on toast. Why not do it with 3 properties in a film?
Yes, yeah, exactly. So, but what that does is it leaves Breaking Dawn. There is a part 1 and part 2. We're just going to make Breaking Dawn
Well, the books were just, you know,
just one. Was
Yeah.
it just one? But okay, fair enough. So they just
Like they
split it.
smashed the Hobbit into 3.
yeah.
Yeah. So, although actually, by the way, that would be quite exciting to do, an unexpected journey in Battle of the Five Armies and everything. We should do
Oh,
that
sorry,
in
there
our
was
episode.
more. There was more than that in the Twilight novel series. Oh no.
Are we learning something new? Is there a
Yeah,
secret
I just
fourth
assumed
one?
there
A
was
fifth one rather?
New Moon Eclipse and Breaking Dawn, but there's Life and Death, Midnight Sun.
Okay, well we're gonna have to tackle that at the end, aren't we?
That ruins everything, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Mine is very simply a follow-up to The Office, and it follows the receptionist from said office,
Whose name, of course, is Dawn.
whose name, of course, is Dawn. We can all say we've been up at the crack of dawn.
Everyone's
one of mine,
been up
Sean's, and maybe we can talk about this with your friend Sam Pay, who has the
Song by Song podcast. Yeah,
Song by Song podcast. One of my favourite Tom Waits quotes is, "I'm so horny, the crack of dawn better watch yourself around me." Which I think is such an amazing bit of poetry.
Very Tom Waits line, isn't it? Yeah. So we have Dawn. I imagine it has to start at the crack of dawn. I imagine. Does it start with David Brent? Is David Brent? Does he feature in it, or is this something you want to tease us to us?
I think I think it does have little flashbacks of that, but it's the consequent marriage of her and Tim Canterbury.
Yeah.
The dissolve of their marriage.
Right, okay. We're going
possibly
dark. Okay.
And possibly the redemption of their marriage by the end.
Because
we love Dawn
and
Tim and Dawn.
I really want to see a dissolution of a marriage where they're both good people who also
just don't
are
get on
friends.
anymore.
Yeah. Because
they realise they only really got together because of David Brent. And like his
So the movie is them hunting down David Brent so that they can try and find him to sort of bring the spark back into their relationship.
Well, I think it's like maybe we never really see what they do, but this sort of the breakdown of that relationship, or maybe and her thing in like therapy through therapy sessions as well. So it maintains that sort of mockumentary, mockumentary thing where they see her in therapy.
Did Tim ever prank Dawn? Because I know he did it to Gareth a lot.
No, he pranked Gareth, and then Dawn and him. Like
so
Gareth a bit
maybe she's like, listen, I know all your tricks, mate. You can't prank me. I'm married to you. Literally, we share a credit card. We share a credit card. I know everything that you do. And then
I see.
So it's not like breaking Dawn, like like her mental spirit or whatever. He's trying to get the ultimate prank on her, and then maybe
that's also a ongoing thing for him as well.
I think so, and then that brings a bit of spark back into their relationship, doesn't it? That's part of like a few bait and switches later on in the movie.
Oh, so it's just like, there's something on my desk, which means probably she opens up a filing cabinet. Yeah, here's the actual. He's like, oh god, like, is it that easy? And and
then Tim's upset because he's working from home now.
Through the door. Yeah,
he's got a job where he can work from home, so they're in each other's space. But it's not quite the same as it was in the office environment.
No, because there's no one else to prank.
Yeah.
Probably means we're going to get a knock on the door in 3, 2, 1, and then there's the knock on the door. And she just knows
Gareth obviously turns up every now and again. Got to have that.
Do they have an outbuilding where he works from there, and he keeps coming in and going like?
Maybe they build one
or something.
Maybe they build one
in here.
Or they're trying to build one. That's part of the thing. We're trying to build it, and it's never every episode. There's like one more brick, but nothing.
And Gareth. That's why he comes around. Gareth is like the handyman they know, quote unquote. So he's always there to do handiwork for them.
Yeah.
And then building the stuff together, and then that's how he can get his little pranks in here and there. But he can't prank too much because if he pranks Gareth, he doesn't get the fucking building done, right? Yeah. So like Dawn is like, no pranks, just get the work done, right? We've got another kid on the way, or something, it's like we've got to get this thing done. I think that's really good. And I think so maybe we don't, if you want to have the dissolution of the marriage, also if you want to tell us anything about what's going on at home, Dan, you can. But if you want to have the dissolution of the marriage in there, we can. And I do think, by the way, not enough movies really handle it well, because I think they just go divorce bad, someone must be evil, and all divorces are bad. Like movies don't really handle it with the sort of notion that we're all human beings that change constantly. And I'm just not sure. I think in modern times you might want to send a positive message about positive. I'm not going to say unconscious, whatever it is, conscious uncoupling or whatever. But but the idea of sort of separation not necessarily being an evil, which would have been the case under sort of Christian ideology and law, I guess. Dan, you were saying.
No, that was basically. It doesn't necessarily have to be. Maybe it's the breakdown of like they're married, they got kids. It's like how a bit like Outnumbered, but like more sort of mockumentary style and that, and like how her life, like she talks in her therapy sessions about that's not quite how she expected her life to turn out, and but it doesn't necessarily need to lead to divorce. It's just like the the breaking down of Dawn, but then only to be rebuilt again, I guess, as a bigger, stronger Dawn.
So then also, could you say that she's got a career now that's doing better than him, or the same, but her career has some sort of connection to the word breaking. I know it's tenuous, but like you do that, and then it doesn't have to necessarily be a wholly bad thing. So she could. I don't have an idea what that is right now.
She owns a stables now.
Yeah,
she breaks in new
That's
horses.
Awesome. And so the idea of breaking horses and having and training horses. I walked through a stable the other day, or a whole set of stables, and it was actually quite. I've never really been around. I've seen horses in the wild and gone and hung out with them in a normal fashion. Someone said, "Do you want to come see my horse?" and things like that. Yeah, but I've never it was in an open sort of trailhead pathway in Dorking. But like I walked through, and it's sort of amazing to be in a place with like 30 horses all stabled up, and somebody running a horse round a ring of mud, and then all the trails around there have sand on them, and we were walking around going, why is there sand on all these trails? And they put them down, tons and tons of sand, because I imagine the horses are coming back and forth through them. So I think that's a really interesting location for someone to go and work as well. To have a documentary crew, to have a person there who has an interesting marriage, has a couple of kids, goes and works at stables. It's an interesting location, isn't it?
Yeah,
there's lots of drama there as well, and lots of metaphor for when she's breaking the horses and having a wife, having a husband. Who sometimes needs a bit of breaking in as well, right? Yeah, I kind of like that. I don't know if anyone else. So David Brent has to make the perfect cameo. That's the problem, and it should be. It shouldn't be a post-credits cameo, because that throws away the idea that he's integral to the film. But like him just popping in at the exact right moment, the exact right way, I can't even possibly imagine what that would be like.
No.
Maybe he's doing a photo shoot for something, and he needs to look like a cowboy on a horse.
Unbelievably, he got big, and he's a horse owner. Somehow.
But the horse doesn't respect him, right?
The horse absolutely. And the horse, he wants to try and get this horse into the races, because so I think he's going to make some more money. He spent all of his money. He won something, all his money on this horse.
One single that went really big. Yeah.
Fucking bollocks as well. The horse is awful.
What would the name
and it's probably
of
called
the horse be?
The horse has got to be like what was it? What's the highway one? Free Love on the Free Love Freeway. It'd be called Free Love Freeway or something like that. Yeah.
Free Love Freeway.
And it just doesn't obey him at all. And so that's where our cameo's in. Every week he's like in the back, just getting thrown off his horse or something like that.
Well, actually, she's giving an interview. It's kind of nice that he maybe plays like third fiddle in the movie almost. Like it's not his focus movie, but he is in there. He does come to the trade. Like every time she's at work, he comes to try and
Does this mean they've hired Gareth as a stable hand?
Oh, that's also brilliant, isn't it?
Yes.
This is like a fucking sequel to The Office that needs to be made, isn't it? Like
we smashed it.
Yeah, and
Ricky,
it's set at the stables.
give us a call.
That's the main thing, and that's fantastic. So what? Okay, there's one other thing then. What's the reason? The final thing that I would have to know, or we'd have to figure out, is why is the camera crew going to be following them everywhere? I get like filming the sessions. I think that's really good.
You just have it like
the horse race crew or something.
You have it like the reunion, don't you? Yeah. Oh, yeah. You either have it like
there's a new.
No, maybe he's paying them out of his own pocket, man. David Brent is paying the entire crew out of his own pocket because he wants to watch the rise of this horse. But of course,
but they found something more interesting.
Yes, that's exactly it. And
he's always trying to peddle to the different streaming services.
Yeah, all the time on camera, and he's paying. And so it's sort of interesting to have the interplay between. Because you remember, like in the
Can
Office,
we say that on Netflix? We're not actually on Netflix.
Exactly.
Oh, do you think Amazon will let us say that? We're not affiliated with Amazon at all. Like the camera crew, like that narrator is just constant, and he just ignores it every time.
Yeah, I love that.
God, are they even going to understand this on Hulu?
Yeah. Because I think it was the British office where she'd unplugged her mic right at one point and got up and left and asked Gareth out or something. Or am I thinking of the American office? Both fantastic in different ways. But there's one. So I think there is one point in the British office where there's the real acknowledgement of the artifice of being recorded and stuff. So, but I sort of like that. because they're not a professional camera crew, they're just being paid by David Brent. They sort of are a bit. Maybe they're trying to make their magnum opus as well. So there's just a little bit of interference from the camera crew. I just think there's something you can do with that.
Yeah.
That's too good an idea, really.
All right, quick fire round. So there is 2 more in.
They're the novels, so we'd be forgiven for coming up with ideas that aren't quite as good as
quick fire. There, Life and Death was a novel, which was a reimagining of the original books with a gender swapped Edward and Bella to become Edith and Beau.
Is that fanfic?
No, this is in canon.
Wow.
Okay.
Shocking that those things.
So it's called Life and Death. So I feel like it's it would be like a Pixar sort of film about like a rubbish death and like I don't know, like a rubbish keynote.
It would be like
it's about life who's given up on life.
Yeah, yes, exactly it.
Its partner has to come out and try and reinvigorate life about life.
Because life is only meaningless because of death, and death is only meaningless because of life. So death is the one being like, come on, you've got to, you've got to keep going.
Look at all these people that have died and what a wonderful life they've had.
Yeah.
And these people wouldn't be that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. Yeah, you have almost like a depressed life with a death wish, and death is saying, no, you can't have that. You can't.
Yeah, life turns up on death's door going, can you you take me now?
I love that, on death's door, literally.
I know I'm here early, but come on.
Yeah. This is all great trailer material. That's all the stuff that would be in the trailer. In the teaser, that comes out like 3 years before Pixar gets around to releasing it.
Yeah.
All right.
And then last one.
Yeah, done. Next.
Not done. Done. Next one is Midnight Sun. Cowboy movie.
Listen, do you know what it's got to be? It's got to be a film about the Blade characters in the Midnight Suns, isn't it? There's a whole bunch of villains in the Blade universe. Maybe we can refresh ourselves on who they are. But
Midnight Suns is a fictional team of superheroes in the American Hellstrom, Jennifer Kale, Morbius, Doctor Strange, Ghost Rider.
There you go.
Johnny Blaze.
So it's just a supernatural.
There's some Marvels. There's Marvels.
Yeah. So it's just a road movie, a supernatural road movie with the style and spirit of like a James Gunn sort of Suicide Squad type Guardians of the Galaxy thing. And you have these guys.
Moon Knight's brilliant.
Hold on a minute. That already exists. That's not
Knight?
Slash Dupe. That already, like Midnight Suns is already a thing.
Is a thing.
We need to Slash Dupeify it.
We're literally stealing.
Yeah. From the worst people we could possibly steal from. With an entire building of lawyers.
Well, I'm just telling you what.
Midnight Sun is the follow-up to New Moon, where there are now 2 suns.
2 suns.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. This is when the franchise, like Sharknado, reaches its sort of
it's jumped the shark, literally.
Yeah. Then in comes Midnight.
Another sun.
Yeah.
A sun that turns up at midnight.
And it eclipses its own sun with the other sun. Well, that doesn't make sense.
And the 2 moons.
But
you have a double eclipse.
Well, I mean,
the 2 moons.
There was
2 suns,
there was that town in Canada that reached 50 degrees, didn't it? And basically, like, the pavement started melting. And someone was telling me that after 54 degrees, the human body just gives up. So what happens? Like, that's too hot for a human.
Oh, yeah. So it's double sun heat.
So what does that mean?
Yeah.
What does that mean? I know that there are literally underground pathways in Texas.
Well, that's it. Everyone would have to start living underground, right? That's the thing. Mole people. So.
Or go and live on one of the moons.
Yeah. Yeah, but then they have to build all this stuff underground.
No, they have to
Tracy
start
Island.
populating. They can finally travel to the dark side of the moon because it's not dark anymore.
Dark side of the moon is now what? Is now the light side of the moon.
Yeah, because it's the moon is now completely in light.
I'm not sure. Listen, I love you, man, but I'm not sure you know anything about the moon. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know anything about the moon. I literally don't. I'm a consultant. I don't know anything about the moon. I can sell you a dream about the moon. Say a dream about the moon. Yeah.
Well, I think they're considering the amount of time we had to come up with them again. I rate both of those ideas, and all of them. So that was our take on the longest day of the year, the UK, the solstice, bringing us Twilight all day, and we just gave you Twilight for however long it's been, an hour or so, giving you the titles.
Felt like the longest day.
It did, didn't
the longest day.
Giving you everything you always wanted to know about New Moon, Breaking Dawn, and
Horny parents.
Eclipse. So yeah, well, that was great, and we've got some more guests coming up for you this season as we close off season 1, and we have a handful of other interesting special episodes like this one. We just need you guys to feed back in the comments. What do you like? What would you like to see? Give us some of your own ideas, and let us know if you brought anyone else into the Slash Dupe fold. When you talk about Slash Dupe, and we know you do, what other good ideas do those people you talk to come up with when you tell them about the premise of Slash Dupe? Give us their ideas. Get them on board. Get them to send us some of their thoughts. If it's a line, if it's like Taj and it's basically an entire treatment for something, we'll take the lot. We're very excited to hear from you guys at home as well. So that just leaves me to thank you, Dan and Ryan.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Dan.
And thanks everyone for listening.
Bye.
Recorded in the Capo Studios, 2021. What's up, danger?